You were not born to just pay bills and die. You were born to become someone unstoppable. Now, let me ask you this question that maybe no one has ever asked you with this urgency that I have today. Do you truly know who you are? What you carry? Why you matter? Where you're meant to be and when it's your time? I ask because the moment you can answer these 5 questions, who, what, where, why, and when, that moment, everything shifts. Confusion? Gone. Comparison? Irrelevant. Delay? Completely over. You? Activated. Now, this isn't just a YouTube series. It's a divine interruption, a wake-up call to your greatness, a spiritual strategy session, I'll call it, disguised as a video playlist. So if you are tired, like I was, of running in circles, doubting your worth, playing small, and waiting for permission to live the life you were born for, buckle up, my sisters and brothers, because we're not just talking about purpose in this series, we're going to unlock every aspect of it. This is the series where you will be reminded that you are not lost. You're just not listening yet. Yes. So I want you to make sure that you hit that subscribe button and tap the bell, because the next few episodes might just be saving your life or finally showing you what you were born to build. Now, the first question is, who am I? The first question is, who am I? This is the question that unlocks everything. You know, you've been told to find yourself. Have you heard that before? Find yourself. But what if you were never lost? What if the version of you that you've been searching for is just waiting for you to remember who you are? Think about it. So I first want to welcome you to this first episode of this transformational series. And I believe that this series will change the way you live. It will change the way you lead. It will change the way you love. And it will definitely help you own your greatness. I've got another question. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you're playing a role in someone else's movie? Like you're living a life that's successful on paper, but hollow in your soul? I know too much about this because honestly, you're not alone. I've been there too. And here's the truth that most people don't know. You don't find yourself. You remember who you are. And the first key to being unstoppable is answering the most powerful question you'll ever face on earth. Who am I? That's the question I want you to ask yourself today. So let's break it down a little bit. Can I? Okay. So the first thing I'm going to say is, you are not your past. You are not your pain. Neither are you your paycheck. We live in a world where people confuse what happened to them with who they are. But you're not your job. You're not the one you lost either. You're not the heartbreak you survived or the childhood trauma you didn't choose. Your identity isn't the sum of your scars. Your identity is in the seed of your becoming. Let me share a story with you. I once coached a man who labeled himself a failed entrepreneur. That's what he said. And every time he tried something new, his past whispered, "You'll mess it up again." That's what he kept on saying to himself. But when we stripped away the shame, he saw the truth. He wasn't a failure. He was a builder. He'd been building all along. He just hadn't owned the name of being a builder. And do you find yourself in that situation sometimes where you start something and not finish it, right? And then you say you failed? What if your strength is actually in building something and then handing it over to someone else to follow through? What if? Think about it. And who you are also comes from your source. And that's God. Who did God say He was? And if you were born in His image and His likeness, who are you? Now, let me give you another illustration. And think about it. A seed looks like nothing. It's dry, it's small, unremarkable, isn't it? but inside that seed is an entire forest. So your past is soil, not your sentence. Should I say that again? Your past is soil, not your sentence. Now in the comments, I want you to tell me one label that you have worn that no longer serves you. And then I want you to say with me, that's not who I am. Now subscribe if you're ready to plant your real identity and grow something wild. Now, the second thing I'm going to talk about is your essence existed before your experiences. It did. Before you had a resume, before you had a reason, before you knew shame, you carried significance, you carried worth, you carried confidence. You weren't born random. You were born very ready. And that's how God created us. I'll tell you another story. My client, Blessing, a phenomenal woman, she used to think that she was just a people pleaser. Why? Because that's how she survived growing up. She had to. Under all that compliance was a fire, a leader, a voice, and her essence was always there. It was just buried under what other people wanted her to do. So their expectations. Think of Michelangelo. When he carved the statue of David, he said, I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free. Now that's identity. It's not adding something to you. It's releasing what is already in you. So no, your purpose didn't show up when you downloaded that productivity app last week. It's always been there. And it's been there longer than your browser history. Another call to action that I'm going to ask you to do today is type I existed before in the chat. Yes. If you know that your essence is deeper than your story, type that. I existed before. Now in episode 2, we're going to be talking about what you're carrying and why the world needs you. You have to subscribe and you have to click that bell so that you can watch it. Okay? Now, the third thing that I'm going to share with you today is labels limit, identity liberates. People will slap a label on you so that they can feel comfortable, guys. You're too loud. You're arrogant. You're too sensitive. You're too much. But the truth, you were always too powerful for their boxes. Now, let me share the story of Oprah, who was once told that she was too emotional for TV. But look at her now. Her emotions became her empire. What others saw as weakness, she turned into her wealth. And I want you to imagine labels are like tight shoes. They might look good, but after a while, they start to cut off your circulation. So where are you in your life right now where you are hiding under what other people say you are? Oh, you are this, you are that. In fact, some people even go as far as saying, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I'm shy. We give ourselves all kinds of labels. I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too black, We have all kinds of limiting beliefs against ourselves. But God says that you were created in His image. And if God, the first thing He did was create, then who are you? What are you creating? What are you saying your life is meant to be like? Who are you saying that you're going to turn out as? And you know, when I started my, should I say, healing journey, the first thing I wanted to tackle, because I went to a class and the guy said, if you don't have an identity, you would answer to any name that you are called. That was like magic to my ears or music to my ears, because I realized that I didn't have an identity. But that was the knowledge I had then. The truth is, I did have an identity. My identity at that time was terrible. I saw myself as, all kinds of negative things. And so I carried myself in that way. So the first thing I wanted to shift or change for me was who I said I was, coming from, of course, who God said I was, to who I felt very comfortable with sane that I was. Let me put it that way. And so I started writing things down. Who would I like to be? Because at that time, I couldn't do anything for myself, but I knew that I could create the person that I wanted to be, because the first thing I realized was I'm a creator, isn't it? And so from being a creator, I decided I was going to create my identity. And so I started by saying I am air. I give people a reason to live, love, and breathe. And that felt good. Then I said I'm light. I bring clarity, understanding, and awareness. And that felt good too. Then I said, I'm love. I love because it's who I am. And then I ended it with, and I am an example on earth that God exists. Wow. I didn't believe anything that I wrote down, but I liked the way it felt, And so I said to myself, I will create this person until fast forward to a couple of years after. And I was somewhere and somebody was introducing me to her friends, and she said, she's the light in our darkness. Imagine how I felt. And I didn't have to introduce myself like that anymore verbally, because I had become that person in the lives of people that it felt so good. So I need you to stop trying to shrink to fit someone else's insecurities. This isn't the laundry. You are not meant to come out smaller. You are not. Now, I want you to drop a label that's held you back. Put it in the chat. I've asked you to do 3 things. This is the third one. I want you to put in the chat a label that you have held back and write this instead. My identity is my liberation. And then don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a reminder. And the last thing that I'm going to share today is you don't need permission to be powerful. And if you do need any permission at all, it's yours. You just need to say to yourself that I've got this. You're the only one who can name and own your name. Not your followers, not your family, not your failures, but you. I once worked with a woman who had a PhD, 3 kids, a thriving business. Inside, she still whispered when she talked about her dreams. Why me? She said. What do I have to offer? She was waiting for someone to say that you're allowed. She was waiting for people to give her permission to just be. And the moment she realized she could authorize herself, her whole world shifted. Power doesn't come when they approve. It comes when you decide. I want you to think of Beyonce. Everybody knows Beyonce. She's doing really well. Do you think she asked for permission before dropping an album at midnight? No. She showed up, and she showed up in her full formation. And because she can, you too can as well. You don't need anyone's permission slip to be iconic. This isn't primary school. You're grown now. So I want you to sit down and ask yourself and write it down. Get a journal. Who are you going to write down as who you are today? And then write, I own my name. I own my name. And don't go anywhere, because we're going to be coming up next week. We're going to be talking about what. You've got to subscribe, because next episode, we're going to uncover the what you've been carrying and how to finally stop hiding it. My sisters and brothers, you are not your story. You are not your struggle. You are not even your success. You are the soul behind the scenes. And when you own who you are, everything else will fall into place. I promise you, I'm a living witness to that. So here's what I'm going to ask you else to do as well today. This week, I want you to unlearn one lie about your identity and say your name out loud and say, I am whole, I am here, I am enough, and this is who I am. Write it boldly. Don't only praise God, praise yourself too. And then share it with one person who forgot their name and their identity, because the world doesn't need more noise. The world needs more you. My name is Adiola Kingsley James. Love and light.